Hello. Today I'm going to be drawing this brown beetle. The photo is by James Reben. Um, so I kind of Googled another image of the beetle, and it's really interesting to see how the legs connect, because it's kind of like the first two, or the upper legs, like this one here and this one here, that one there and that one there, are equally spaced apart, but the back ones are much further, and that's kind of evident by this image. And the interesting thing is you can kind of see the weird shape of the thorax, because it's like it's a big trick in my opinion, because you have like the head, you have what appears to be the thorax, but I mean not all of the legs are attached to the beetle here. And when it comes to insects, I believe all of their legs are always attached to the thorax. But the thorax isn't just that ball; it's also it's a portion. It's kind of like a, how do I put it? It's like a thin oval that encapsulates. It pretty much it's like the shell is kind of obscuring, like this part and this part. It's really obscuring the border between the thorax and the abdomen, but they're both there, but it's kind of hard to see it. So I'm going to start off by drawing the ball for the head. I'm trying to focus on the initial gesture. And now I'm going to draw the thorax, which is significantly larger or longer. I would say it's something about like that. And when it comes to the abdomen, it kind of appears that, how do I put it? The abdomen, it's hard to say if it's the same size, but it may be even just a bit longer than the part. But like the shell of our insect here, or brown beetle here, does a good job at obscuring it and blurring the lines between what we know and don't know. Always trying to get a full picture. I'm going to do that one more time. Always trying to get a full picture of the insect is a good idea, in my opinion. As hard as it can be. But I feel like more often than not, you can try to go on Google and find a similar insect, or the insect. I mean, unless it's not a widely known insect. But okay, now I am going to add the attachments for the legs, and it's really interesting. It really is, with these beetles. Because it's like those two legs in the back, or the farthest back on the abdomen. Maybe I could have even made it a bit closer. Kind of like that, I believe. And the other legs are, well, the first two are about here and here. And the other ones are not that far from the second pair, but they're significantly farther compared to here and here, which I'm not sure what mechanical advantage having those legs farther back. It has to be something that I just don't know. Maybe it's so that it can temporarily take flight or something. I believe a lot of beetles could like fly or glide, but yeah. Seems like they're very timid creatures. Okay, so now I want to draw the gestural lines for the legs. And when I talk about gesture, I'm talking about like straight lines, C curves are a variation, S curves are a variation, ellipses of various degrees and sizes, or even like a shape occasionally. That's going to be annoying to undo, but oh well. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to draw kind of legs that I'm going to try to stick to. But I was thinking in this video I was going to try something a little bit different. When I say that, I wanted to add some structure, and when I say structure, I'll show you. Because I've taken different approaches to drawing insects, and you know, there's a lot of comparisons to make. So let me show you. I kind of want to draw I'm going to draw another 2 balls for the eyes, because the eyes are like bulging out significantly. But when you have these eyes, they also connect. They're actually like, they kind of like wrap around the ball of the head, like much like a human skull. They kind of fit into place in a very interesting way. Because like right here, it kind of looks like we're only seeing like half of the eye, but the rest of the eye is inset within that structure. So I also wanted to draw 2 pilot holes for the antenna. The other thing here is I'm kind of seeing this very subtle overhang about like there and there. And it's also like there's kind of like a ridge that kind of goes around the form right there. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to add, I'm going to draw 2 gestural lines for the antenna. Kind of about there. Kind of about to there. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to draw the covering shell that it just covers the first 2 legs. So it's very interesting, I will say. And I know I didn't draw the legs yet, but I wanted to kind of draw that connecting cover. And I think I went too far on that one. Yeah, because it's just going barely past the legs. To a certain extent, I'm even seeing this concave shape that kind of goes in a little bit. Or maybe it's just an illusion. The other thing here is there's an interesting gap. I'm pretty sure it's just an area where you have the thorax, which is this part here, but it's just revealing a little bit of it, so it's kind of like a 3D effect. And I'm going to show you because I think drawing it is a lot better than trying to explain it. Oh, I also wanted to, let me draw, well, you know, I'll save that for a minute. So let me show you the shape, as there is like a significant overhang. Oops. So it kind of goes, I'm gonna mark like an ending point that I will add a little bit more onto. But the interesting thing is the abdomen has to end at some point. So I think it's a little bit like this. I'm trying to really work within the constraints of the insect, because like the shell doesn't really overhang. Like there's not a lot of extra room between where the shell ends and where it covers the abdomen. It's like a very small amount. So let me draw the shell. Oops. Kind of like that. I'm seeing a little bit of another part too. Maybe I went a little bit too far. Let me try one more thing, because I think it would have been better if I would have summarized it kind of like. Kind of like that. Here. No, I think I was doing it right. Okay, and there's a little bit of an extra part there. There, I'm seeing like a little extra form on the back. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to add was the shell separation. Because there is like a separation between the two halves of the shell that's covering a small part of the thorax and most of the abdomen. So it's interesting. You have these mini shell things. I also wanted to draw, well, I'll emphasize it, but it's like they're like these little intermediary areas between the, well, you know, it's like this shell covering and this shell covering. It's like this little area that has some exposed thorax. I just wanted to put a focus on it. Okay, so now I want to draw the antenna first before I move on to the legs. But you know what? Actually, I'll draw the gestural lines for the legs real quick. And you know, this insect, he has his legs kind of going in different directions, probably to get some momentum of some type. You know, funny story, the other day, it was, the 4th of July, and I saw a beetle sleeping on a flower. And I didn't take a picture of it. I wanted to, but I didn't. But it was like really cool. It was just sleeping away. Really good camouflage. I just noticed it in my backyard. Or my parents' backyard, for that matter. Yeah, really cool to see a bug like that. I don't know what type of beetle it was. It kind of looked like a lightning bug, but no, it was kind of like, it was not a lightning bug, but it was a brown beetle of some type. I mean, I don't know what type of bug it was. I really should have taken a picture, but I don't know. Maybe letting it catch some sleep is what it needed. Maybe it's better for me not to disturb. Like, I try not to disturb nature in any way. Okay, now I'm drawing the initial shape I'm seeing that attaches to the head for the antennas. I always think of like stacking cups, but you know, more often than not, if you think of like an ellipse or like a coin, and a coin looks like that, but viewed from the side, it looks like that. But in reality, coins usually have a little bit of thickness when viewed from the side. Something like that, and then it has like ridging. You get the point. Okay, So now I'm going to do these antennae. They all connect like a bunch of stacking cups. A lot of small pieces, but some are larger than others, and I feel like it's always kind of hard to predict it to a T, but I'll try to. Probably not counting these right. 4, 5, 6. Kind of like that. It seems like it's hard to tell whether if the end cap or like the ending part of the antenna is really larger or if it's just kind of a perspective issue in which, because it's like just a little bit closer to the viewer, it's kind of looking a bit larger when the reality is maybe they're all the same. Usually when it comes to perspective with insects, it changes very little, but it still does. And I think it's important to keep that in mind, because I think a lot of perspective is about the subtle nuances when it comes to even small things. Like some people may say you could just ignore it and you can kind of wing it, but I do try to be cautious of the small perspective. And for demonstration purposes, I'm using like a really large, not too large, but like the drawing size I'm doing it at is a bit larger, but in real life, or if you wanted to do it on your own, you could always use smaller drawing tools to get like finer lines. And that's probably what I would do. Okay, so the interesting thing, I have another image of this beetle pulled up. I don't own that image and I don't know who owns it, but I was looking at it occasionally for a reference, and much like spiders, how they have these attaching bean part things, it seems like this beetle does as well. They're kind of like connecting nubs, but they're just not visible. Because it's obscured in this photo by this shell. And in general, like even if you have, like I feel like the only time you're ever gonna see that piece is if you're just looking at the underside of the beetle. It's just a very difficult piece to see, and bugs like this probably do want to hide those so they don't get eaten, is what I would assume. Yeah, they have a lot of armor. So I'm going to draw the large bean-like shape, and I'll show you what I mean. But it's like this bean-like shape, and the important thing is to always think about how the legs connect to one another. I mean, they're going to connect somehow, otherwise the beetle wouldn't be able to walk in any way. But I think always trying to when you're drawing insect legs, trying to determine an ending point is extremely beneficial. Well, I think this leg is even more like that, so I kind of messed up that bean there, but it should have been even thinner. And I found that like when I'm doing this leg thing, I kind of like to like do a little bit of every leg instead of trying to do one leg all at once. I don't know why I do that, but it's just kind of like a bit of a habit I've picked up that I kind of like doing. I think I'm doing it this way because it kind of gives me a little bit of a practice for each shape that I'm going to draw. And I think I should have kind of tapered that a little bit more. Sometimes the legs kind of taper a bit subtly. And it seems like the back legs, whatever you call this shape, it kind of seems like with the back legs, they're a bit longer. Sorry, I just wanted to erase a few distracting things. So we could kind of see a bit of that leg. But yeah, it's like the back ones are significantly longer, even though you really can't see all of them. think it is important to keep in mind. Okay, now on to the second part. It's kind of like a bit of an elongated teardrop, is what I would call it. And between, when I connect the legs, I do try to draw like some type of contour that kind of connects the legs. It's very subtle, but I think denoting the overlap is beneficial. I think I made this one a bit too thick. Now here, it's a really interesting shape because it's really thin at the initial connecting point. And then this one goes pretty far out. Okay. Alrighty, so now there's like a matchstick shape. Well, let me think. Yeah, it's kind of like this matchstick shape, or like an even smaller teardrop that kind of goes to the end before you have like these little claws. And you have like two little claws, and I know a lot of insects have these probably to grab onto plants and whatnot. Claws are very small and very subtle. Oops, I just realized I forgot to draw the smaller teardrop bean-like shape over here, and I'll do that now. Okay, so now for the last leg thing. Okay, now for the back leg. And now for this one. And it kind of like tapers a bit. It's like thicker at the start, but kind of thins out near the end. Then for the two little claw things at the end, I may have made that a bit too long. But it's kind of like that. That's how I would summarize it. And I think I hit the main points that I wanted to hit. The only thing I could think is maybe I kind of made a mistake with the partial cover of the thorax. It's not covering all of it. It's probably covering, well, about half maybe. Well, that would really be half, but a portion of it, a significant portion. And I keep thinking about that shape. It kind of reveals some of the legs. How do I put it? It's kind of like that. And I think I did a bad job at showing this area and this area that kind of shows this part here and that part there. Like you see it, it's very subtle, but it's enough for it to be there. But yeah, those are the main things I'm seeing of this beetle. If you like my video, please like it. If you like my channel, please subscribe. Thanks again to James Reben for this beetle. I really do like drawing beetles. They're fun. This is my app, Thumbtastic. It's free. It's really helpful to digital artists. I use it like everywhere I can. But yeah, if you have a question, please leave it in the comments. And thanks for listening. Bye.